Good morning and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. And my name is Rotimi. It's such a pleasure to welcome you to the show this morning. And we are from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa to Africa and the entire world. This is the Good Morning Education Show. On the show, we bring to you interesting conversations, subject topics within and around the world of education. And today we will be doing so. Sometimes get joined by experts and guest analysts from across different subject matter and try to talk about things that affect us in different ways. And today will not be an exception. So welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Please tell us your name and location, where you're coming from, where you're commuting from. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know more about what it is that you do. And if you have contributions, do not hesitate to contribute to the conversation of the day. And if you have questions, please, by all means, do ask your questions as well. This is the Good Morning Education Show. We'll be talking on student identity. But before that, I will go on a short break and a video break, and I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. And I'm back. We'll be talking more topic. Thank you very much.
1.5%. That number is all that separates the DNA of a human being and a chimpanzee. Which means that, relatively speaking, 1.5% is the difference between a rocket ship and a pile of bananas. 1.5 extra minutes a day for an entire year is 547.5 minutes. And those minutes accumulated could end up being the difference between pass or fail, yes or no, average or great. When we look at change, at getting what we want, we tend to visualize it on a pedestal. It's huge, it's mysterious, it's complex, but I'll tell you what, it's the smallest of adjustments. Seeking out and capturing that little 1.5%, living in the space that we're so inclined to just see right past, that's where I find my advantage. We are surrounded by a million little opportunities every day that we walk by. Waking up a few minutes earlier, reading a few pages, doing an extra lap or rep, tiny things. They won't give you what you want right away, but little by little, small advantages become big advantages, consistent action becomes habits, and we are, as Aristotle says, what we repeatedly do. Don't look for the moon, look for the staircase that will take you there. 1.5 may be small, but 1.5 every day is the most powerful thing there is.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Good Morning Education Show, and today we will be talking about student identity crisis. So it's probably not something that you just hear for the first time, but it actually is something that exists. It's been there for a long time, and it's something that we also need to consider and spend some time to, look at the different perspective of student identity crisis. And I'm sure that, definitely different people will have what they probably understand as identity crisis. And I'm going to give it a head start, right? And so when we talk about identity crisis, right, it can mean a lot of things. When we say identity crisis, we're looking at uncertainties, ambiguities, in a person's definition of his or her being. And so when a student has identity crisis, it's more like the student is floating between different states of being, different identity, different different persona where they've not totally accepted who they are, and they feel that there's something ambiguous about them, there's something they can't list. And that sometimes can actually affect them in different ways. Because when you think about it, that you don't feel rock solid in yourself, it can prevent you from actually, tilting towards a kind of philosophy, embracing a kind of ideology, because you still don't know where or what you are, And this identity crisis sometimes can be caused by age. It can be triggered by your gender, your sex, even the level of education, or probably the quality of education you've been exposed to. It can actually affect people, and in ways that they don't understand. And even in their careers as well, when you're experiencing personal conflict in a way where you begin to question who you are, your role, your importance, or some changes that have affected you, and you truly don't know the picture to paint yourself in, that itself can also tilt and bring about identity crisis. And a lot of people who face this kind of reality, are always second guessing themselves, always questioning themselves. They have a very poor sense of worth, right? And sometimes because they are thinking about what has happened to them and almost defining themselves as the events that they've identified. Um, and as students, for the purpose of this topic, we need to also realize that there are many causes of identity crisis, fairly common, and they include big life changes. So sometimes when we have big life changes, maybe the parents divorces, or the parents remarrying, or the parents relocating, or they're moving from one place to the other, or financial status, that in itself can also be a factor. And then, of course, general advancement in life, or sometimes status, is changed, or traumatic event, occurrence of traumatic event, like motor accidents and all those things. Those things can actually trigger, identity crisis. And when you begin to think about it, a lot of people don't even know where to place themselves, and not to be sounding like too scientific or too academic in nature, it's important for us to understand that it is said that there are two types of identity crisis, right? You can have some measure of, or what would I call it now? You can have some measure of an identity deficit, where you are experiencing, a dip in your personality, or guide and commitment, and you can have the opposite. Now, I think while dealing with students, one of the things that we should think about is to try to see how we can find professionals who can be of help, because identity crisis can lead to so many mental health issues, things like depression, and the likes. They can actually come into the situation, and it's not something restricted to a particular age alone. It actually is a spread. And a lot of times, when we don't get people to feel love, they can begin to question their place in society, begin to question themselves, begin to look for how and why um, these things are probably in place. Because a lot of us, we claim our identity in a way coming from the issue of our country of birth. You're a Nigerian, you're a British, or you're American, you're Asian. All those things, some measure of identity comes from there. And then our culture, very important, the culture that we practice, the culture we are immersed in, it gives us some kind of identity. I remember growing up, there was this form of jab, to some people who have some mother tongue in cafe. So laugh about it, but it's some measure of identity. Your color in the global perspective, sometimes we sometimes refer to people as black, the black man, the African black, the black American, or something like that, or the whites, or those kind of color kind of situation also creates identity. And then the class. Are you middle class? Are you elite? Are you low class or poor? And then most importantly, your creed. That's almost like a governing philosophy that you live by, your values, your faith. That is in itself a way to do that. But we need to begin to tell people that, if especially we are looking at students, one of the fastest way to help them into a wholesome positive identity that is not one of deficit, we need to begin to think about telling them to stop comparing themselves, especially to others. You need to understand yourself, you need to discover yourself, but it's not with the aim to just compare yourself with others, because then you might begin to swing into an unhealthy practice, feeling bad about yourself, and then you are not even sure of the identity you have. A lot of people lose originality trying to look like the other person, trying to be like the other person. And then, of course, um, we also need to be very careful about what we call public opinion. I normally tell people that not all public opinion is actually correct opinion. So you must make up your mind not to be fooled by public opinion. You must make up your mind not to be degenerated into public opinion. And because of that, you find yourself in a state of being, in a state of situation where you must begin to spend less time worrying about others' opinion. And then the third thing is that for students, you need to allow them to make mistakes. Because when we don't tolerate people being themselves, any form of error makes them beat themselves so hard. They become so critical in nature. And we must begin to make them understand that, yes, you are human. If you have mistakes, allow yourself to make mistakes. And then number four, remember your value does not lie in how your body looks. We've seen when people talk about body shaming, oh, he's tall, he's too tall, he's too short, he's too big, he's too small. All those kind of body types, you need to recognize that your real value is not based on the container, which is the body, right? Remember that your value does not lie in how your body looks. The other thing I like them to know is the fifth one is that don't be afraid to let go of toxic people. Don't be afraid to let go of toxic people. You must not be afraid to let go of toxic people. It is very, very important. A lot of people have brought a lot of negative or negativity to themselves just because they don't feel like letting go. And it is important for you to let go of toxic people. And then the next thing is number six. You need to learn how to process your fears. Process your fears. This is very important. A lot of people do not understand that fear is not just the experience and the reality of what limits you or what hinders you or what scares you, but it's also something that requires processing. An intelligent way to be able to overcome the fear that you have would be almost based on how you process the fear. Trust yourself to make good decisions for yourself. You need to trust yourself to make good decisions for yourself. Don't think as if it's only people that can make decisions for you. You must trust yourself to make good decisions for yourself, and make up your mind to take every opportunity life presents or creates your own. Sometimes life will present opportunity. You know, uh, uh, you need to understand that life's opportunity are things that you can actually enjoy, but you must not wait on life's opportunity alone. You can create your opportunity. So when you have life opportunity, yes, your opportunities as equally important. um you know that's very, very important, and you must understand that your timing might never be perfect. You know how people say, well, timing is everything. That's true. You have to have the perfect timing for the next big step of your life. The truth about it is that it doesn't always work that way. You know, you shouldn't push back from reaching your goals or dreams. Instead, do the things that you need to do. Seize the moment, because that moment might never come back. You know, and then put yourself first. Put yourself first. You know, sometimes you might never get the opportunity to buy a first class ticket, but you have every opportunity to put yourself first. Don't feel bad about doing this, especially for students. You know, don't always be the doormat of the world where everybody's need is met by you and your need is not met at all. Your mental and emotional well-being is very important. Take time to decompress and recharge yourself. Stop straining yourself and just trying to please people. At the end of the day, you're feeling empty in the process. Then, of course, feel the pain and joy as fully as you can. Allow yourself to feel things fully. Lean into pain. Relieve your joy. Rebel in your joy. Don't put limitations on your feelings. You know, like fear and pain and joy, they are all emotions. They will help you understand ultimately how you really feel. You know, a lot of times we need to understand that we must make people understand that it's not a crime to feel sad. Once you feel sad about something, don't deny it. Feel it and move past it. Feel it and go through it. Then another thing that they could do is to exercise boldness in public. Exercising boldness in public. A lot of us have been cowed into doing things in a timid manner, in a secret. You know, so we need to get to a point where we have the habit of speaking our mind in boldness. They say boldness is like a muscle. You must not wait for it. You must use it, and it grows more the more you exercise it. Don't wait for permission to take a seat at the table of life. Join the conversation, contribute your thought, take action, and know that your voice is just as important as anyone else. And then make up your mind. The 12th point is to see beauty in the simple things. Try to notice at least one beautiful small thing around you. Every single day, there's something beautiful around. Make note of it. Make it and be grateful for it. Gratitude, they say, is only tied to what? Your perspective, and it gives you better perspective as to life. And then be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Always ensure that you are kind to yourself. A lot of people out there, are not kind to themselves, and that's so sad. They are not kind to themselves in any way and in every way. So we must begin to see from a better perspective. When we talk about identity crisis, all these points I've made, these 13 points, they can easily help you. They can help you to scale, you know, the way you feel. They can help you to scale into the way you ought to feel. And that way you are able to appreciate life better. That way, you're able to appreciate things better. You're able to appreciate people better. You're able to appreciate your giftings better. And it's not just for students alone, but not students alone, even to everyone. Identity crisis is something that can happen. It's unfortunate when it happens, because what happens, you begin to float from one place to the other, not being able to tell who it is you are, not being able to embrace the giftings that you have, not being able to embrace even the calling that you have, and it affects your pursuit from academics, to social, to every possible area. That's what it is. And I would like to welcome Chime Light and Olushola Olumide to the show. Good morning, Mr. Olumide, Olushola. Good morning. Light, Chime, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is Mr. Olumide there? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to the
Hello,
show.
Farouk. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. All right. So, like we're talking about student identity crisis. Do you want to share a bit about that on the topic? Like you have the floor. Your mic is muted.
Yeah, good morning. I'm still trying to, I guess, network issues on my end. Sorry, I can hear you now. What did you say?
We're talking about student identity crisis, and I'm sure you've seen or experienced it one way or the other. Do you want to share a bit about that? I kind of spent some time to introduce what it is, why sometimes it happens, and then steps to take to ensure that people get over such things like identity crisis. So, would you like to share some points on that?
Yeah, so I think
Hello, Farouk.
yeah, so it's something that is actually real. A lot of students experience this due to different factors, and it differs from different situations or background. um, and it most times actually is a struggle because you see that this affects the child or affects the students in different aspects, sometimes even academics. Do you understand? And it's something that I think should be taken seriously, just like what you were saying at your intro when I joined in. It's something that we need to look into and look at the better way to actually approach it.
Thank you so much. Let me get to ask Oluchola a big time question. I know that growing up, for some era, we had the use of positions when it came to grading academic performance or student outcomes. Um, but now it's shifted to other areas. Now we're not probably using first position, second position, third position. But there are other ways where we sometimes unconsciously and consciously lead to triggering identity crisis in people. Would you like to speak to that? Share some insight around that, Olushola?
Good morning once again.
Can't hear you, sir.
Hello.
It's very low. Very yes, it's better now.
Aha, thank you very much. I said good morning. I said I wish what we're dealing with is such an important topic this morning. I wish every teacher, every caregiver, every parent, every school owner gets to listen to this. We are all unique in our own special way. Everyone, we are unique. However, I discovered that either due to trend on, or how do I put it now, imperceptible colonization, then our yardstick for measuring success has impeded or has escalated the issue of identity crisis. This is what I mean. Rotimi is doing very well. He's a medical doctor. My dad concludes it takes being a medical doctor to be successful in life. So he comes back home to brainwash me to be a medical doctor. Not realizing my unique giftedness. Of course, that brings to mind the issue of multiple intelligences. Research is throwing up a lot of things, especially for this part of the world. Now we know better that I don't need to be a medical doctor to be successful in life and to fulfill my purpose. The issue of who is first, who is second, who is third We battled that for long. And it's either you are first, second, or third. You get back home, everybody frowns at you. Your mom feels, why is she wasting her money over you? Nobody cares to bother if I have other giftings apart from this literacy or numeracy. Yes, those things are good. We tailor everything towards IQ. Do I have other giftings? Nobody cares to know. Then nobody is profiling the child to know, to let the child have self-awareness. Is there an introvert or an ambivert or an extrovert? Is this person gifted in the literacy or gifted in the numeracy? Am I gifted in aerobic and dancing? Because we appear to have tailored success in one way or two ways. If you are not a doctor, you are a lawyer. If you are not a lawyer, you are an engineer. And I can tell you tons and tons of students who had been misguided and misled into the profession they never find fulfillment. And until we get this thing cleared, Rotimi, the crisis will keep escalating. Because the older the child becomes, the more unsatisfied he or she becomes, the more crisis the child begins to, more time will be wasted, more energy will be dissipated. And I tell young people, as you grow, your desire evolves. And somebody said, no, this is the course I want to study. I say, by the way, who asked you to study that course? Can you tell me your best subjects? So it's not enough to come to class and teach. We need to help these children to be self-aware. And I have said it on this show. I'm sure not once, not twice. Parents, when they go to hospital, they listen to doctors. They don't argue with doctors. When they go to the law court, they don't fight the lawyer defending their case. Why should parents come to school and be fighting teachers? After all, it's my child. I know what is good for my child. I know how much I'm paying. If you knew better, why didn't you self-school your child at home? And until educators put their feet on the ground, that as far as this profession is concerned, we are professionals to the core. A doctor cannot come to the classroom and be dictating to a teacher what should be taught or what should not be taught. Doctor is meant to stay in the hospital. And as educators, if we have self-identity crisis ourselves, we can't help the children under us. If somebody who is in the classroom is not fulfilled, is using teaching as last resort, what can that teacher offer? How much can that teacher help? If he's well, if not that I didn't see job, that's why I find myself in this space. Will that teacher give his or her best? The answer is no. And if care is not taken, we will continue to sabotage the future of the children. By this crisis, we keep triggering. First thing, know what the child is cut out to do. Help that child to navigate towards that area. And the child will find fulfillment. It will develop expertise. At the end of the day, it will make it. Then all the year pass where we think so-and-so is any more. Than so-and-so is any more than you are doing does not mean that person is more than you are. But that is the yardstick. We feel, okay, somebody is well-dressed, gorgeously dressed, is a banker, and because I'm looking at the person the way he's dressed, I conclude he's a better individual than a teacher. Nothing like that. So it starts from the cradle. We must help the children. It's not enough to follow trend. Something can be trending and yet not satisfying. You must know yourself. We must help the children to know themselves and find out what they are cut out for. By that way, they follow it through, develop expertise, develop capacity, they become excellent in their delivery. They create value. It's a matter of time. They will surely make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm bringing that question now to you. Speaking about the identity crisis, we all know that at a particular level, especially when we're dealing with teenagers, they get to be more self-aware of their surrounding, of their bodies and all that. And one of the things I was sharing just before you came up was that in trying to overcome this issue of identity crisis, students must recognize that their value does not lie in the type or shape of their body. I want you to spend some time on that. how can we get students, and not sometimes students only, how can we get people to recognize that the value they carry and the value they bring to life is not tied to their body type or body shape, because a lot of people sometimes refrain from doing good or volunteering themselves for things because they've already eliminated themselves out of things because they don't look a particular type. What do you have to say to that?
Okay, so working with teenagers over the years, I've come to understand that the very first thing, because at that stage of life, that is what to face. Every one of us actually faced it, or at a point in time of your life, as a teenager, you have those esteem issues, and you try to look at how to get value, or how to tie your value to your beauty or to the way you look and all that. So what we first of all do, or what I tell people, what I tell these teenagers, or what I do first of all, is to make them understand that everybody, that they are not abnormal. So everybody has gone through that stage in life, and it's normal. Then also, as teachers, we try to, especially when working in school, try to look at role models. We try to look at people that are actually doing the right thing in the society, people that are being positive, and try to look at tell the students to look at the kind of life they are living, look at how the kind of impact they are making. Then also we look at their own role models too, because the students, they have role models, they have people that they look up to. It's either the musicians or the celebrities and all that. So we try to compare this life and see and let them know, what do you want to achieve at the end of the day. It's not really now, it is how well we look at all those things, that we try to make them understand the fact that this at this stage in time is not all that matters. Is actually what really matters is the impact, the legacy you leave, and every action you take at this point in time is going to affect your future. So we try to make all these things, or we try to lay to set it there. And whenever we are working with teenagers, one thing that we should know is the fact that it's just like what Mr. Olimide was saying, it's not tied to the subject you're teaching. You're not trying to cover curriculum, because they are having a lot of things. They have a lot of challenges they are fighting with at that stage in life. And I can even remember as a teenager, or as when I was very young in school, our math teachers or teachers, they usually dive they usually go away from the curriculum or subject to talk about real life scenarios, to talk about their lives, to talk about different situations that we are going to face when we become adults. They talk about where how they were when they were teenagers, the kind of mistakes that they made, and make us understand that we should not make the same kind of mistake. So it should not be learning at this stage is not only about the subjects, how they should pass their biology or their science, or arts or commercial. No. Learning at this stage should also be about values. Learning at this stage should also be about impact. Learning at this stage should also be about what they should look forward to, making their life meaningful. So the classroom should not just be about the textbooks and all that, but teachers need to make sure that they even use their lives as example, to make sure that teenagers don't make the same mistake. Because if they know that, yes, as a teacher we've passed through the stage, if they know that as a teacher you there's more ahead of life, they just talk more about life things, talk about things that are happening around, and that is what sticks to them. That because they are hearing the story from you, they are hearing the story from someone that has experienced or have gone through what they are going through, and they are able to relate more. And it makes you may not be surprised that okay, may not make a lot of impact, but it actually goes a very long way. Because personally, I can remember my teachers, the stories and all that, and that was one thing that really formed me and made me to focus and know that okay, there's more ahead of life, and looking out for opportunities, joining the right group, understanding that peer pressure is not the major thing at this point in time. No. So in the long run, it goes a long way in shaping the lives of those teenagers.
Thank you so much. And what you just said has triggered another question. And I'm putting that question back to Olushola Olumide. And of course, being one who is vast in the behavioral management aspect of things, emotional intelligence, and all. Um, there's a bit of a culture that follows failure or mistakes, as some of us would like to put it. What do you have to say when it comes to that? Because I think we're a bit intolerant of mistakes, or better still, people are not even able to voice out their mistakes because they are not even feeling as themselves. I'll need you to talk a bit about that. How do we promote that? Because it probably has a lot to do with one's identity, because some people just feel that they are failures just because of an error. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Rotimi. It's a great question, and I'm happy we are dealing with this. I remember telling a 200 level student 2 weeks ago, if you want to get out of stigmatization, shame your shame. Shame your shame. When you talk about your mistakes, nobody can come and slap it on your face again. I once failed. I did this. I did that wrong. And look at most of the people doing advocacy today. Some of them are in that space because of what they suffered. Now they don't want others to go through it. Somebody has been raped. Somebody has been molested. They come out. They talk about it. Once they come out themselves to come and talk about it, every stigmatization loses its strength over them. Nobody can come and shame them with that same thing again. Now, that being said, probably you have heard me say this before. I failed is an identity. Sorry, it's an incident. I am a failure is an identity. Everybody fails at one point or the other in life. Disappointment is some sort of failure. And it's not. I had this presentation in January with this white lady from the UK. He said, my son was just getting moody and said, Mom, why am I not performing? Look at you, Mom. You virtually achieved everything. He said, that day I sat him down. I think the woman is a Briton. I sat my boy and said, listen to me. Even doing my PhD, I struggled. There are days of struggle. The boy now said, you don't mean it, Mom. When we tell the people the story of how we succeeded and not telling them how we failed along the line, the story is not complete. We are telling the young mind incomplete story. We see us as if we are angelic, as if we never fail, as if we got all things figured out. We need to also let them know life doesn't always turn out the way you planned it. It doesn't mean you're not giving your best. But because also you are not the only player in the field of life, we can make mistakes. We are humans. We can err. We can miscalculate. We can misconstrue issues. That does not in any way reduce your intelligence or your value. Until we begin to tell them and let them realize that, see, those of us who have gone ahead of you, we had our tough times too. And I think the way failure is defined in this part of the world is what is also killing our young people. We're not encouraging mediocrity, but we should let them know in life we win some and we also lose some. So in order to help them have a robust view about life, is that, do you know, I met a boy who never failed in his life. The only setback he had ruined his life completely. I spoke to his elder brother. He said that boy you are looking at is the youngest, but he has seen success like no other person in the family. The little disappointment he had crushed all the exploits he had done over the years. I think he was raised to succeed. Nobody taught him that failure is also part of life. We should raise the young people to know that failure is part of success. And it does not in any way demean them, provided they learn from their mistake, using that same mistake as raw materials to build an edifice for their future. I failed is an identity. They should not glide into I'm a failure, which becomes an identity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's sometimes when we listen to some things that we hear people say today, one can only imagine why it wasn't said much earlier during our own time. I can relate to so so many examples. For students, one of the most dreaded time or period is report card season.
Yeah. So
It's like you just forget all the fun that happened because you are coming to. It's like you are defending the fees that have been paid. You are defending. Is that
it's
if
like
there's
the day
and God help you that you have maybe a cousin
of
or a friend,
judgment.
or a friend that is close by, that they're also privy to know the person's performance, and they are now comparing results. Is that not someone as well? Does he have two heads? Does he have four heads? You know. But I think it's getting better now in real perspective. But coming back to the conversation, right? And Light, interestingly, you've been in the forefront of the teaching and learning space, and you also get involved in getting to how do we get to pass the message, not now to the handlers of the students, right? Let's bring it to the students themselves. How do we pass this message where they themselves need to learn to put themselves first? I think we sometimes accelerate or put some measure of pressure on ourselves as students. I'm saying as students, yeah, I'm still a student, but not that kind of young student. Because the way Light is looking at you like, duh. But how do we try to address that? Sometimes we are there for everybody, but not for ourselves. We learn about what everybody wants, but we don't even learn about what we ourselves want. And that makes us like a doormat to the entire world. What message do you have to a student in such a fix? Right, over to you.
Okay, so the truth is, like I said initially, that different situations and different factors define different things. But as teachers, I don't know, can you still hear me? I think I'm
Yes,
having
we can.
network glitch. Okay. So, but as students, I think the first thing they need to know is that they have to just be real. They just have to be real to themselves. They have to be realistic. They have to understand that life is different for different people. And even just adding to what Mr. Lumide said earlier on, a lot of parents, we let me use the example of the butterfly, that stage where the butterfly has to come out, or where the stage before becoming a butterfly, and it's the cocoon. So it's the strength that it has that is going to be able to use to get itself out of the cocoon. But what do we find now? As schools, as a school, or as teachers, or even as parents, we find ourselves the stage or the boarding stage of the students, or boarding stage where before the stage of becoming a full-blown butterfly. We find ourselves cutting out the cocoon for the students. So they're not even going through the experience themselves. And that is why when they come in contact with challenges, or when they come in contact with some certain scenarios or situations in life, it really shakes them, and they are not able to go through, or um to be able to overcome this. So I think being real is very, very important. Being realistic to yourself, be knowing that this is the way you are, this is how you don't have to measure up to anybody. And though sometimes some parents don't really updo, a lot of things have changed now, just like Mr. Rotimi said. But when we were younger, we hear our parents saying, I was the first in my class. And you begin to wonder if every parent were the first in their class. So who was now the second or third, or who actually carried the last position? So you see that we're trying to meet the expectations of our parents at that point, at that particular point in time. The secondly, just be very empathetic. So we are always empathetic to people, but not empathetic to ourselves. I don't know if that actually exists. But now, trying to pay attention to yourself, trying to pay attention to your strength, and not just focus on your weaknesses. Because even just like for example, myself, right, like a large family, and I find out that everybody has different potentials, everybody has different talents, everybody has different things that they are strong in. And what I really do is try to encourage everybody to focus on their strengths. We don't focus. Somebody does not even understand anything about maths. I don't really focus on, oh, you must get maths, you must understand maths and all that. There's something good about that person. So paying attention to yourself as an individual, if you're a student, is very important. And being empathetic, like telling yourself that, okay, at this point I need to be real with myself, I need to care about myself, I need to pay attention to my strength and lead you, and not try to make myself feel like I am a nobody because of my weaknesses. Then I think lastly, just love yourself. See, if you can't show love to others if you don't actually love yourself. So I think at this stage, every student needs to love themselves, need to understand that they're peculiar, they are different, they are unique, and it does not make them it does not make them abnormal, or it does not make them different from everybody, but instead they are just unique individuals, and if they begin to see themselves as that, they love themselves and they are able to excel more and do greater things than they can imagine. Okay.
Hello.
I'm Mr. Rishola. I guess Mr. Ritumi is
Yes, he's back. He's back.
Okay,
He's
welcome
back.
back, Mr. Ritumi.
My
Yes.
network was having identity crisis. So,
That's serious.
all right. So, quick one. And I'm going to throw this question to both Olushola and Light, but I'll start with Olushola. So now we've heard different things from what you've been able to share, and I love the perspective that we've been able to bring to the subject matter that we're discussing today. So, how do we navigate the issue of concern as handlers, caregivers, educators, parents? There's concern. How do we navigate concern with prevailing culture to a place of competence and a place of confidence? Because now you have concern and culture on one hand, you have competence and confidence on the other hand. And this sometimes becomes the dilemma where we're wondering, how do we blend? Where is the place where the two hands can shake each other?
Thank you. I think this current generation, I would say they are blessed because a lot of disruption had happened. Many status quos have been challenged. People have chosen to go the way they feel they have strength, even though at the beginning, no support, nobody is celebrating them. I remember when Nigeria won the under 17 championship in 1993, it was a big watershed for a lot of parents, because if you, by any reason, you are caught playing football that day, it will spell your name once again. A lot of beating. But the Kanu Wankwo, Oruma, and all those things, it was everywhere. So it became clearer that so somebody can play football and succeed. For me, I've learned everybody is serious. It's only what we are serious about that is different. And whatever you are serious about, you also excel in it. If you are playing, you are only seriously playing. If you are sleeping, you are only seriously sleeping. Everybody is serious. Only that we are serious about different things. Now, we want you to be serious about something good. Will better your life and better your future. I think parents should pay more attention because the child knows them first. And when you validate the child, yes, the concern is there. Don't have a predetermined, the older parents, they made quite a number of students miserable, their children. Just because I'm a lawyer, everybody in the family has to be a lawyer. There's nothing wrong if all of you are barrister. Thank God for you. But a child may say, sorry, I want to be a musician. We shouldn't stigmatize that child or make that child feel is the black sheep or is the Judas in the family. So I know the culture, man pressure more. The concern is there,
But the culture, how will people hear that my child is doing music? This child, they will wake that child up, probably take him to a prophet to pray for him that all the curses over his head, prayer should wash it away. Don't put us to shame in this family. How will you say you want to be a footballer? But do you know that narrative is changing now? Culture has its good side. In this part of know the basis for that culture, want to be seen. I said people don't even know the basis for the culture they are practicing, only that you don't want to be seen as different. Anybody who chooses to follow a different trajectory has a lot of things to contend with as far as culture is concerned. So I think this generation is blessed. The new parents appear to know better. They have more information. They have more data to work with. They are exposed to better facilities, better educators. And looking at all these things to put together, our concern is there. But we shouldn't allow culture to twist our concern, because concern can be twisted based on our mindset. Then once we're able to address that aspect of culture, I think confidence, capacity, support. Nobody wants to be ostracized. Nobody wants to be left alone in the cold. And it's more reason why some people have not followed their dreams. It's not easy to be alone. It could be draining. It could be disturbing. It could be killing. But when you have one or two people standing by you, I tell you, it gives you that God, that energy to say, okay, no problem, I can go ahead. And if I thought you are going to fail, ensure you are failing forward. It's better to do something and fail than do nothing at all. So that is what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Light.
Yeah, so I think when just to add to what Mr. Olimide said, so when the concern should lead to us looking for proper guidance or giving proper guidance and direction, because when there's proper guidance and direction, it leads to competence. So what we're seeing is this: you're concerned about maybe your child academics, or you're concerned about your child's future, which is normal as a parent, or which is normal even as a teacher. You're concerned about the child in your class, wanting the child to do well and wanting the child to actually excel. So that concern should make you pay attention to, like I keep on saying, paying attention to the strengths of that child, paying attention to what that child can actually do well, and not keep on repeating or making the child feel like he's nobody or a failure because of what he or she cannot do very well. So now when you've gotten what is right, what the child can do, the strengths of the child, you now help to guide the child well, or to give the child a proper direction, different resources, different help, support, and all that, to make sure that the child is competent at what he can do very well. Because once the child can do something well, it builds the child confidence. It helps the child believe in him or herself, and help the child to excel in the long run. So this is very important. Proper guidance and proper follow-up and support leads to competence. So it's very important. Yes, it starts with a concern, yes, but now we have to make sure that we guide that child properly.
Thank you so much. I wish we could go on and on and on, but this is where we'll probably have to draw the curtains on today's show. We will be back tomorrow. As we all know, that the Good Morning Education Show is a show that happens every day of the week, Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. West African time, Saturdays 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. West African time, and Sundays 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. West African time. It's been a great time. Thank you, Olushola Olumide. Thank you, Light Chime. But we will not leave without our usual payoff line. I'm sure you're still ready for that, Olushola.
Yes.
Time, I'm sure. But let's get it at the count of three. We're going to say our payoff lines. 1, 2, 3. It's
always a great morning on a Good Morning Education Show.
Like our videos, share our videos, connect, follow us online, and say something to someone about what we learned today. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.